Alright, welcome back folks to the only Honda Snowblower channel on YouTube. Today, thanks to a subscriber of the channel, suggested that we do a dedicated video on the lubrication points on the HS Honda Snowblower. I cover all this in the the service videos, but that's a great idea to do a dedicated video on just the lubrication points that you can go through in about 10 or 15 minutes. And I suggest you do this every fall before you need your snow blower in the winter, or if an issue pops up, which I will go through, and then you'll know the lubrication points on these machines. Now the HSS models, I know people are saying, hey, I've got an HSS model. What's the difference? There's a couple differences. The HSS models in the United States are chain driven, so it's a good idea to keep your chains well lubricated. And sometimes when I do a service, I take the cover off, and so I can access the two chute motors and clean around them, and they're run with teeth, and sometimes they can be lubricated also. So let's get a closer look, and I'll go from one end of the machine to the other. Folks, I'm going to show you. I'm going to start on one end of the machine. Now the first thing you can do is remove one of your shear pins on your auger and see if the auger turns freely, because sometimes over the years, rust can get in there, and your augers will slowly they'll be hard to turn without the shear pin, or sometimes they're even locked up. So what you can do, be proactive here, is remove this bolt. And if you have troubles with turning your auger with the shear pin out, you can spray some penetrating oil in there first and break it free. I use, let me show you the lubricants we're going to use in this video. Excuse me. You can use Liquid Ranch, which is reasonably priced, penetrating oil with a straw on it, so you can push the straw through the hole. For really difficult cases, I use Croyle penetrant, which is, kind of expensive. So I usually recommend the Liquid Ranch for most jobs that need penetrating oil. For lubricant, you can use multi-purpose blaster lubricant with Teflon. If you don't have anything, most people have WD-40. Now, this works in a pinch. I don't recommend using it all the time because it washes off easily in the snow and water and ice. But it's good if you have nothing else. I also use WD-40 with a white lithium grease, long lasting. This will stick. This doesn't wash off very easily. It's a heavy duty lubrication. It says it's rust inhibiting, and it's metal to metal applications. I use that a lot. It's got a straw, just like this one has a straw. Another important thing is chain and cable lube. I like Liquid Wrench once again. It's reasonably priced. You can use it. I'll show you why we need the chain and cable lube. You would need that on the HSS models for the chains. And I use this super white multi-purpose grease, which is great for a lot of applications. If you use something else, or you guys are, professionals, Honda techs, snowblower techs, small engine techs, if you use something else, let me know in the comments. This is what I like to use, but I'm always trying to learn new products to try out. I also have anti-seize grease too, which is not shown. So the first thing is spray some penetrating oil in there, free up your augers so they spin freely with the shear pin out, and then you can spray some other lubricant with silicone or white lithium grease in there to keep these babies turning as they should without the shear pin, okay? What else you can spray? You can spray some lubricant between the cam lock and the augers, okay? Moving up to your chute, you can spray some white lithium grease or lubricant in here, and this is your worm gear. You want to make sure this is adjusted all the way in so it's up against the teeth. Now, a lot of people ask me about the plastic bushing that goes around. I used to lubricate that. I used to take the chute off and lubricate the bushing, but I was told by a Honda technician with over 30 years experience that what happens is that the grease attracts dirt, and over time it will actually make matters worse. So the best thing to do if you're having trouble turning your chute is to remove the chute, which is really easy. It's just these three little 12 millimeter bolts. You remove them. You remove the bushing, which is plastic, and you clean it. You clean it with a wire brush. You clean it with some fine steel wool. Clean it up really well, and then wipe it clean, and then put it back on. Clean the inside of your chute that it runs on, because there may be dirt and grease in there too. And then you're good to go. I mean, you'll get a lot of you'll notice the difference really. Okay, moving up on your chute, you want to put a little bit of spray. Excuse me, spray in here. The white, I'll use this here, or Teflon spray, silicone spray, anything that's going to stick and lubricate. Once again, if you have a suggestion, put them in the comments. You want your chute, top of your chute not getting stuck. You can spray some lubricant in here on the ends, and so that it will so it won't stick. Let's see if this works. See, it's not sticking at all. So that's a good lubrication point. And moving along, you want to check your hydrostatic fluid. Of course, you want to check your oil before you run it. Well, what else can I think of here? You can put some grease. I'll use this white lithium grease on that joint there. I've got paint brushes that I use to apply it. It's a lot easier that way. But you can put some grease in here in your joints, so the water will get in there and rust stop over time. So you can put a little bit of grease in there. If you've got a rubber bushing in here, you want to thoroughly lubricate it before you install your rubber bushing in there so it won't crack and break. Okay, so I'm talking about anything that moves here. Oh shoot, I didn't take the belt cover off, but under the belt cover there's the tensioner that pulls the idler wheels to the I'll show you when I got the machine up on the nose. You want to lubricate those joints also. All right, so let me put this up on its nose. I already shut off the gas and ran the carburetor dry, and I want to shut the valves. Okay, I feel tension right here. You know, I'd have to pull really hard to get it all the way through. So I'll find a tension spot that closes the valves. All right, I'm gonna put put it on the nose. So now we can do some, from this position here, you can do so much lubrication. Like I said, you know, once you've done this once or twice, it only takes about 10 or 15 minutes to do all this. And usually, once you've done it, you usually don't have to do it, you know, every single fall, or you don't have to do every lubrication point every fall. You just have to do it as needed. Now down here, here's your auger brake that's connected to your tensioner. It's hard to, let's see if I can find the tensioner. It's hard to point out. The tensioner runs your springs that pulls in your idler wheels for your two belts. Now they move back and forth, and with the belt cover off, I'm sorry I didn't take the belt cover off, but you can see by moving this and by moving the idler wheels on top, you can see what those bushings can be lubricated, okay? And up down here, you want to lubricate in here. You want to lubricate your slots. This is where the paintbrush comes in handy with the white grease. I can grease the slots, and I can grease this part right here, a collar. I think they're called collars. And you can grease these on both sides, okay? You can inspect your springs too to make sure they're okay. And then you can work with the machine up on the nose, you can work your pedal back and forth through the slots and see how it should be very, very easy to do when they're lubricated, okay? And they should lock in. Unless the pedal's worn out or the springs are worn out or extended too much, okay? So you can lubricate that. You want to make sure that the shaft for your released this is moving easily. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of oil on the shaft that goes into the hydrostatic transmission, okay? Now moving up, this is where the good stuff comes. You want to give a squirt in here. You want to squirt your clutches. You've got two clutches. You've got on the HS models, you've got the transmission clutch, and you've got your chute clutch. Now I see this all the time. They're rusty, they're dried out. Usually I'll spray some penetrating oil in there first, and then work the handle back and forth. Okay, and then once it's nice and easy, then I'll spray some lubricant with some kind of sticking component, like the white lithium grease or the Teflon or the silicone. Now, in really difficult cases, it's double nutted right here. You can loosen up these nuts, and this is your lock nut, and this nut here you can loosen up just a little bit, maybe a quarter turn, or I mean, this is in difficult cases. I haven't have to do this too often. Loosen this up a quarter turn or half a turn, then lock it back down, and it should be easier to move. Okay, you want to put a tiny bit of grease in here, and this where your cable connects on your throttle. And oh, one other thing I should have told you, on the chute cable, you can remove these boots. You don't have to mess with the clip here. Just pull the whole thing off. Pull the boot off, and then you can use your straw on your cable and chain lube, and you can give it a couple squirts. It takes a little bit of patience because the hole's not that big, but you spray a little bit and let it work down. Spray a little bit more, and work your cable in and out. The cable should go in and out just like this and shouldn't kink up. By kinking, I mean, getting kinking, like an elbow kink. If it's kinking up, then you have a problem somewhere. You might have some rust in your cable that's holding it up. Or you just keep on spraying more lubricant down there until it frees up better. So you can do this on all your cables. Your chute cable, here's your throttle cable's got a boot. Your auger and drive cables have boots on them. If you're having any issues with your cables, you know, if you haven't done it for years, I highly recommend you just pull the boots off. Excuse me again, and then spray some cable lubricant down there, all right, and work your cables and making sure that they're coming out. On this side, you want to spray just a spray in here, and let me take this cover off. It's all it is a nut and a small bolt, and you can take this side cover off, and you can spray the ends of your cables. You want to spray the ends of your cables so they move freely. I don't know if you can see it, but just look for where the ends of the cables are and spray. And while you're at it, you can inspect your cables and make sure they're not splaying. Now here's your lockdown for your handle here. It's got a little spring right there. A lot of times this spring might need some penetrating oil. You'll see a bunch of gunk in there, a bunch of dirt and gunk and dust. You spray some penetrating oil and free it up. If your handle's not locking down as it should, usually the culprit is this is locked open a little bit and it's not engaging. So 90% of the time, this is all you have to do is spray that spring and lubricate it afterwards, you know, and spray all in here with some lubricant. And most of the time that fixes that part, okay, folks? Then you can put your cover back on that keeps the water and ice out of there. Let me think, what else is there? Did I miss anything, folks? Oh, your recoil. Let me address the recoil, okay? If you're having trouble with your recoil not going back all the way, or sometimes you pull on it and you don't feel it's not turning in the engine over, it's a real 90% of the time it's a simple fix. You've got 3 little bolts here. You got 1, 2, and then you got one at 12 o'clock. You can remove your recoil and you can lubricate it. You can lubricate the dogs. Let me show you something here. I gotta put this, hold this. Did you see the dogs? They're called dogs. They pop out. Sometimes they're stuck. So you have to open up, you have to pull on your handle, your starter cord a little bit, open up the slot there and spray some penetrating oil in there first and get your dogs to free up. That may be the problem. Now, most of the time, the reason why it's not coming back all the ways is that the springs inside on the back side of this wheel here may be dried out and rusty. So you can see where I sprayed. I went behind here and I sprayed a bunch of lubricant or penetrating oil in there and just keep on working your recoil starter cord, okay, until and most of the time that works. You know, unless there's a problem with the spring's broken or cracked or whatever, most of the time that's all you need to do, and then you just put the recoil back on. Now, Honda recommends, I don't do it too often, but you can lubricate the cord itself. I put some motor oil on a rag like that rag there. I'll put some motor oil on the rag, and then wipe down the cord. And but most of the time these cords are already pretty well lubricated. But if you have a new cord or an old cord that's dried out, that's what you want to do. You want to lubricate lubricate that cord with motor oil. Off. Watching, and we'll see you next time.